ferry route between Kyle of Lochoush and Callakin is to be scrapped. The bridge is the first of its kind in Scotland, wholly funded by the private sector, and it's promised that the level of tolls will be comparable to the prices now charged by the ferry company. But as Ian Ross reports, the remaining opposition to the bridge is focusing not only on romantic but also financial concerns over the end of the sea crossing.
Caledonian McBrain's new ferry for the Ullapool Stornoway run seemed almost too big for the Ferguson shipyard on the Clyde. She'll be the largest ferry to sail to the West Coast Islands. She's the biggest ship to be built by the small but successful Port Glasgow company, which has delivered half a dozen ferries to Calmac alone in recent years. Not bad for a yard whose future didn't look too bright in 1989.
We had no work, 34 of a workforce. In that time, which is just over 5 years now, we've taken orders for over £100 million worth of work. We've delivered 8 ships. The workforce has risen to approximately 350. We turned over £20 million last year and made a profit of £1.5 million.
Earlier this week, Princess Alexandra was there to give the ferry a right royal baptism.
I name this ship Isle of Lewis. May God bless her and all who sail in her.
The Clyde and Hebridean Ferry Company, which is still government-owned, has invested heavily in new ships. Half of its fleet has been renewed in the last decade. The 2 ferries that operates between Skye and the mainland, the Loch Dunvegan and the Loch Fyne, were also built by the Ferguson yard. They ply between Kyle of Lochoush and Callakin, 5 minutes from shore to shore, and notoriously changeable weather, especially at this time of year. When the Skye Bridge is complete, the arrangement is that it will have a monopoly on the traffic and the ferry service will be withdrawn. But here's the rub. If the right to call a public inquiry into the withdrawal of the ferry service still stands and is exercised, the ferries might still be running for some time after the bridge is open.
There is a users consultative committee who may or may not have powers to undertake a withdrawal procedure. If they do undertake the withdrawal procedure and there are objectors, we could be asked to continue until the matter is resolved, and we'd be delighted to do so, I might say.
Then you would be running in competition to the bridge.
Yes, we would, and clearly the Secretary of State for Scotland has made it clear that and he is our largest shareholder after all, has told us we would not be able to operate once the bridge is open. And I think he has the final say in this withdrawal procedure anyway.
I think at the end of the day that in fact the consumer watchdog body, the Rail Users Consultative Committee, confusingly, which now has control over ferry withdrawals, will itself be able to initiate proceedings if it so wishes. And I think that there is a very good case for saying that it should, because here you have a free market government imposing a monopoly on people and denying them consumer choice. Well, I think we should have an inquiry as to why that's happened.
The bridge itself, the second largest balanced cantilever bridge in the world, is a private sector joint venture between Miller of Edinburgh and Dividag of Germany. The lead bank is the Bank of America. There's no public money in this. The theory is that once the investment's been recovered and the bridge paid for through tolls on traffic, it would become a free bridge. Up on the top deck, it won't be free from the vagaries of the weather.
Well, this bridge is like any other high-level bridge, which obviously at some stages may have to close for periods due to very, very high winds. But it's quite a windy day today, and there would be no problem in traffic crossing on a day like this.
I suspect that 90% of the people, 95% would come probably by bridge once it's there, whatever romantic feelings they might have in the normal way. And I don't think it's very likely that there'll be a car ferry going in competition. It wouldn't be viable, probably. No, in fact, all it would do, if they succeeded in capturing some of the traffic, would be to postpone the date at which the bridge would become toll-free.
The toll period, the payback period, might be anything from 15 to 20 years or more. Some Skye people think it will never become a free bridge. They believe the bridge toll, which will be pitched at around the same price as the ferry fare, between £5 and £6 per car, is much too high and will be permanent.
When we look at the other examples in the country, say the Forth Road Bridge, where after 30 years everyone was assured that it would become toll-free, within a few months the Scottish Office had announced that the tolls would have to continue, not only to pay for very necessary repairs to the bridge, estimated at 14 million or so, but also to help subsidise the proposed second Forth Road Bridge.
A local company has been formed which aims at replacing the Calmac ferries with competition to the bridge.
A ferry service which will take cars and passengers from Carackin to Kyle during the hours of, say, 6:30 in the morning till 7 o'clock at night. 364 days a year.
And commercial interests who spend a lot of money on the ferry crossings complain not only about the high bridge tolls, but the withdrawal of a concession.
Well, we have had a circular from the bridge company to say that they are going to withdraw the credit facilities that we enjoy at the moment from Calmac, and that in future we will have to pay for the bridge as we cross it, or buy books of tickets which we would have to pay for in advance.
I think that the position locally could be best clarified as people by a clear margin want a bridge, but they don't see why they should be the only people in the whole of Britain that are going to pay this punitive tax to cross it, particularly when they don't have an alternative route. And so whilst they want the bridge, I think the principle of the toll sticks in people's gullets.
At the end of the day, the chances are that the Scottish Office will see